Now let us be still together. Let us not begin with words of urgency, nor with requests, nor with thoughts of what must be changed, healed, corrected, or improved. Let us begin exactly where we are, without moving anywhere, without striving, without effort, for the kingdom of God is not entered by motion, nor by words, nor by intensity, but by quiet recognition. Be still and know that I am God. That knowing does not come through activity. It comes through stillness. You may be sitting in a house, in an apartment, in a room, or perhaps even listening from a place that does not yet feel like home. And yet, before we go any further, let us dissolve a belief that has followed humanity for generations. The belief that home is made of brick or wood, of walls or roofs, of furniture or rooms. Those are appearances. They are symbols. They are not the home. The home, in its true sense, is an activity of consciousness. And wherever consciousness rests in God, there is home. As you sit quietly, do not look around you, either with your eyes or with your thoughts. Do not take inventory of conditions. Do not say, if only this were different, or if only that person would change. That is not where peace begins. Peace begins where judgment ends. Peace begins where the mind ceases to measure appearances and turns inward to awareness. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. We are not gathered here to bring peace into a home. That would imply that peace is absent and must be imported. We are not gathered to bless a house as if God had somehow forgotten to enter it. We are here for one reason only, to recognize what is already present. For God has never been absent from any place. The error has never been absence. The error has always been unawareness. You see, God does not come and go. God does not visit. God does not arrive when invited and leave when ignored. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I make my bed in heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. And so it must be understood at the very outset that the presence which blesses a home is not something we are about to call forth. It is that which has always been. Let us then release, even now, the sense of responsibility that says, I must hold this family together, or I must protect this household, or I must make this home peaceful. That is a burden no human was ever meant to carry. Of mine own self I can do nothing, said the Master, not as an admission of weakness, but as a statement of spiritual fact. When we attempt to make peace through personal effort, we assume a role that was never ours. Peace is not personal. Harmony is not human. They are divine qualities, and they unfold naturally where God is recognized as the only presence and the only power. Now gently, without strain, let us close our eyes, not to shut out the world, but to withdraw attention from appearances. And in this quietness, let us remember a simple truth, one that does not require belief, only recognition. God is here, not symbolically, not theoretically, but actually. I in the midst of thee, mighty. That is not poetry. That is revelation. This moment, right where you are, is holy ground, not because of where you sit, but because of who is present. The floor beneath you does not make it sacred. The presence within you does. And so the home we are about to bless is not something outside of us. It is not confined to rooms or walls. It is the atmosphere of consciousness in which we live and move and have our being. Let us rest here for a moment longer, without words, without requests, without expectation. Let us simply acknowledge, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And now gently we begin to know it. As we remain in this quiet awareness, let us now gently uncover a belief that has weighed heavily upon human shoulders for centuries, often without being recognized. It is the belief that peace is something we must create, something we must hold together, something that depends upon our vigilance, our effort, our management of people and circumstances. And because of this belief, many homes have become places of strain rather than rest, places of anxiety rather than sanctuary. You see, the moment a person feels responsible for making peace, peace has already been lost. Responsibility belongs to the human sense of self, and peace is not a human product. Peace is a divine state, a quality of God, and therefore it cannot be manufactured, enforced, or maintained by personal will. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world gives peace conditionally, if this happens, if that stops, if everyone agrees. But the peace of God is not dependent on conditions, persons, or events. Many who listen tonight may feel that they must be strong for others, patient for others, forgiving for others, or endlessly understanding for others. And while these appear as virtues, they can become burdens when they are carried personally. The human sense of self grows weary trying to live up to spiritual ideals. But the Master did not say, "You must do all things." He said, "Without me, ye can do nothing." And then Paul understood it clearly when he said, "I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me." Let us pause with that truth. Not I, but Christ. Not personal effort, but divine activity. Not human responsibility, but spiritual government. When this is recognized, a great weight is lifted. The home no longer depends on your mood, your stamina, your wisdom, or your ability to manage life. The home rests on something far more stable, the presence of God realized. There is a subtle fear that arises when one hears this truth. The fear says, if I let go, everything will fall apart. But this fear is based on the assumption that you have been holding it together. And that assumption has never been true. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. That is not a rebuke. It is a release. It is the assurance that what is truly sustained is sustained by God, not by human strain. So now, in this moment, let us consciously lay down the burden of responsibility, not through words, not through struggle, but through recognition. Say within yourself, gently and without emotion, I am not the source of peace. And then let that thought dissolve. You do not need to replace it with another thought. Simply allow it to fade. Where it fades, truth remains. Peace does not come into a home because people behave better. Peace comes into awareness when the false sense of separation yields to the truth of one presence. There is one body and one spirit, one Lord, one faith, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all and in you all. When this is recognized, there is nothing left to manage. Now, let us understand something very important. This does not mean indifference. It does not mean neglect. It does not mean that love is withdrawn. On the contrary, it means that love is no longer forced. Love becomes natural, harmony becomes effortless. Forgiveness becomes spontaneous. Why? Because they are no longer human duties. They are divine expressions. In this awareness, the home ceases to be a place where one tries to keep things calm. It becomes a place where calm already is. The striving ends, the watching ends, the inattention dissolves, and something else takes its place, not excitement, not emotion, but assurance, the quiet assurance that says the government shall be upon his shoulder. Let us rest here for a moment in that assurance. You are not responsible for making peace. Peace is. You are not responsible for holding the home together. The presence is. And where this is recognized, even faintly, even imperfectly, the burden lifts, and with it, much of the conflict that never belonged to you in the first place. Now, as we rest more deeply in this awareness, let us turn to a truth that, once seen, changes forever. Our sense of separation, loneliness, and distance, even within our own homes. For many believe that a home is united by bodies, by proximity, by people being physically together, and yet you have already seen tonight that bodies do not enter into meditation and bodies do not enter into communion. It is consciousness that unites, and consciousness alone. You may recall how, when your eyes were closed earlier, you were not aware of any physical presence, and yet you felt no separation. In that same way, the unity of a home is not dependent upon who is in the room, who is absent, who is far away, or who is silent. The unity of a home exists in consciousness, and consciousness is not divided by walls, miles, time, or circumstance. There is an invisible thread, an invisible spiritual bond which unites all who dwell in the same consciousness. This thread is not formed by blood relationships, legal ties, or shared responsibilities. It is formed by spiritual oneness. I and thee, and thou and me, and we and God. This is not poetry. This is the spiritual fact of being. Consider this carefully. You are not in the consciousness of another because you speak to them, live with them, or understand them. You are in their consciousness, and they in yours only to the degree that you are resting in the same spiritual awareness. Where two are gathered, not in body but in consciousness, there is that presence in the midst, and that presence is what constitutes home. This is why conflict so often persists, even when people are physically together, and peace is often felt when they are apart. The body is not the point of contact. The body is not the source of union. The body is not the medium of love. Love is of consciousness. Peace is of consciousness. Harmony is of consciousness. And consciousness, being spiritual, is indivisible. Now let us dissolve another belief very gently. The belief that someone else's state of mind can disturb your peace. That belief is rooted in the idea of many powers, many minds, many wills. But Scripture reminds us there is one mind, and that one mind is God. There are not many minds contending with one another in a household. There is one divine consciousness appearing as many, and when this is recognized, the sense of conflict loses its foundation. You see, when we believe that there are separate minds under one roof, we attempt to protect ourselves from one another. We guard our peace. We defend our space. But when we recognize one consciousness, there is nothing to defend against. What God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. And God joins through consciousness, not through circumstance. This invisible thread does not break when words are spoken harshly, when someone withdraws, when distance intervenes, or when misunderstanding arises. The thread is spiritual. It is eternal. It does not depend on agreement or affection. It depends only on recognition. And the moment one individual rests in this truth, the entire atmosphere of the home begins to shift, not through effort, but through presence. You may ask, what about those who do not understand this? What about those who are troubled, angry, or unaware? And the answer is simple. The light does not argue with the darkness. It shines. Consciousness does not contend with ignorance. It reveals. The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Yet the darkness did not overcome the light. So now, as you sit quietly, know this. You are not alone in your home, even if you appear to be. And you are not separated from another, even if they appear distant. You are united in consciousness, in that invisible thread which is the Christ. The same Christ that was with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The same Christ that animated the Master. The same Christ that is present now. Let us rest here for a moment in that knowing. No fixing, no reaching, no pulling others into awareness. Simply resting in the truth that the home is not a collection of individuals, but a shared consciousness, one presence, one power, one life. Now, without moving from where you sit, without rising, without directing the body anywhere at all, let us enter the home. For the home is not entered by walking, nor by opening doors, nor by passing from one room to another. The home is entered by consciousness, and consciousness is already everywhere present. Do not picture walls. Do not outline rooms. Do not attempt to visualize furniture or spaces. That would only keep us in the realm of appearances. Instead, let awareness gently expand, not outward, but inward, until it rests in the realization that wherever you are conscious, there the home is. Let us begin where life is most often expressed, where voices are heard, where conversations take place, where opinions are shared, where misunderstandings sometimes arise. In that place, whatever name the world gives it, let us recognize a presence that governs without force. The Lord shall guide thee continually, not occasionally, not when invited, continually. In this awareness, there is no past conversation to correct, no future conversation to manage. There is only now. And in this now, the Christ is present as wisdom, as restraint, as love, as silence when silence is needed, and as speech when speech is called forth. We are not asking that conversations improve. We are recognizing that divine intelligence already governs expression. Now let awareness rest where nourishment appears to be prepared, where provision seems to come and go. Let us gently release the belief that supply is stored in cupboards, earned through labor, or threatened by circumstance. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Supply is not material, it is spiritual. It flows from consciousness, not conditions. In this recognition, anxiety about provision begins to dissolve, not because figures change, but because the source is understood. Where God is recognized as the source, fear loses its authority. And where fear departs, harmony takes its place. Now let us rest awareness where the body lies down to sleep, where rest is sought, where the mind releases the day. Here, more than anywhere else, the belief in vulnerability often appears And yet Scripture assures us, He giveth His beloved sleep. Sleep is not an escape from danger. It is a yielding into divine care. In this place of rest, there is no need to guard, no need to watch, no need to remain alert. The presence does not slumber nor sleep, and therefore those who dwell in that presence may rest, not because all problems are solved, but because the false belief in many powers has been relinquished. Let awareness now touch the thresholds, the places of coming and going, the doors through which the world seems to enter and exit. And here let us recognize a profound truth. Nothing enters consciousness that does not first pass through belief. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Why? Because there is no weapon formed in God, and there is no power outside of God. We are not asking for protection, we are recognizing oneness. Where one power is known, protection is unnecessary. There is nothing to defend against where there is no opposing force. As awareness rests in these recognitions, let us remember again and again, nothing is being done, nothing is being changed, nothing is being forced, something is being realized. And realization is the most powerful activity in the universe, though it appears as stillness. The home is not being blessed because words are spoken. The home is blessed because consciousness is yielding to truth. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and He addeth no sorrow with it. That blessing is not future, it is present, it is now. It has always been. Let us rest quietly here for a moment, without effort, without direction, without expectation, simply aware that wherever consciousness rests in God, their peace appears as home. Now we come to the heart of this meditation, and yet there is nothing dramatic here, nothing new to be introduced, nothing further to be explained. We come now to stillness not as a practice, not as a discipline, but as the natural state of consciousness when it ceases striving. For stillness is not something you do. Stillness is what remains when doing ends. Many believe that silence is empty, that nothing is happening in quietness, but the Master taught otherwise. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Strength does not arise from motion. Strength arises from alignment, and alignment is always silent. Let us understand this clearly. Stillness is not the absence of thought. It is the absence of resistance. It is the yielding of the human sense of self to the divine presence. When the mind stops reaching outward for answers, stillness reveals that the answer was never absent. It was simply unheard beneath the noise of effort. In this stillness, the home is governed not by rules, not by personalities, not by habits or histories, but by presence. Government implies order, intelligence, and authority. And there is only one government. The government shall be upon His shoulder, not upon yours, not upon another's, upon His. As we rest in this awareness, notice that nothing needs to be monitored. You are not watching thoughts. You are not correcting them. You are not replacing them. You are simply allowing consciousness to rest in the recognition of one presence, one power, one life. And in that resting, the home comes under divine government automatically. This is the stillness in which fear dissolves without being addressed. This is the stillness in which conflict loses its momentum without being confronted. This is the stillness in which the sense of separation fades, not because unity is declared, but because unity is recognized. Let us gently repeat within ourselves, not as affirmation, not as mantra, but as recognition, I in the midst of thee. not spoken to another, not spoken outwardly, spoken inwardly, where truth is heard. And then let the words fade, leaving only awareness. In this stillness, time loosens its grip. The past does not intrude because it has no voice here. The future does not demand attention because it has no authority here. There is only now, and now is where God is always found. Now are we the sons of God, not later, not when conditions improve. Now this stillness governs the home even when words are spoken, even when activity resumes, even when challenges appear. For once consciousness has tasted rest in God, it knows where to return. And return it will again and again until stillness becomes the natural atmosphere of being. Do not seek to hold this stillness. That would be effort again. Let it come and go as it will. The ocean does not lose itself when a wave rises. Stillness remains, even when movement appears. The presence remains, even when attention wanders. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. That promise was not made to effort. It was made to being. Let us rest here just a little longer, not waiting, not expecting, not listening for something, but simply being aware that this stillness is not personal. It is divine. It is not created. It is revealed, and it governs the home because it governs consciousness. Now, as this stillness gently establishes itself within us, there comes a moment quiet, often unnoticed, when we are invited to release something deeper than noise or tension. We are invited to release concern for those we love, concern for outcomes, concern for tomorrow, concern for what might happen or what might fail to happen. And this releasing is not an act of will. It is the natural result of trust awakening. Many have been taught that love means concern, that care must express itself as worry, that responsibility must carry anxiety with it. But this has never been the teaching of the Master. Take no thought for your life, he said, not as indifference, but as wisdom. For thought, in the sense of anxious planning and fearful anticipation, does not protect. It obscures. Let us be very gentle here, because family ties are tender. We do not deny love. We do not deny affection. We do not deny human relationships. We simply lift them out of personal responsibility and place them where they belong in God. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. The burden was never meant to be carried by you. As you sit quietly, you may notice names rising in thought, faces, situations, desires, fears. Do not push them away. Do not analyze them. Simply allow them to be lifted, not upward, not outward, but inward, into the awareness of presence. Say nothing, do nothing, just recognize. This too is in God. There is a profound difference between holding someone in thought and holding them in consciousness. Thought struggles, consciousness rests. Thought worries, consciousness knows. Thought asks, what will become of this? Consciousness answers, before Abraham was, I am. That which was before time cannot be threatened by time. Let us release outcomes now, not because outcomes do not matter, but because outcomes do not originate in human planning. My ways are not your ways, saith the Lord, and yet his ways are always ways of harmony, order, and unfolding good. When we try to dictate the form that good must take, we often block its entrance. When we release the form, the substance appears. This is especially true of the future. The future exists only as belief until it is lived. God is not in the future. God is now. And because God is now, tomorrow is already held within divine completeness. I go before you to make the crooked places straight, not later, not when you arrive, before. Now let us rest in a simple recognition, one that may feel unfamiliar at first, but which carries great peace. Nothing real can be lost, nothing true can be endangered, nothing of God can fail. What is not of God has no foundation and therefore no future. And what is of God requires no defense. We are not abandoning our families. We are not neglecting our responsibilities. We are surrendering false ownership. We are acknowledging that life is not ours to manage, but God's to express. And in that acknowledgement, a deeper care replaces anxiety, a deeper love replaces fear. Let us remain here for a few moments in silence, not empty silence, but full awareness, knowing that all is held, all is governed, all is unfolding under divine law. And in this knowing, the home rests not in uncertainty, but in assurance. Now, as this releasing settles within us, another truth quietly comes into view, one that brings with it a great sense of freedom. It is the realization that the home we have been blessing is not confined to a structure, not limited to a location, and not left behind when we step outside a door. The true home is consciousness, and consciousness goes wherever you are. Many have felt peace in their homes only to lose it the moment they step into the world. They speak of home as refuge and the world as threat. But this division is born of the same misunderstanding that peace depends upon place. Yet the Master did not say, "My peace I leave in your house." He said, "My peace I give unto you." And that gift is not geographical. Wherever you go, you take consciousness with you. And wherever consciousness rests in God, there is home. In Him we live and move and have our being. We do not move in and out of God. We do not enter and exit divine presence. We awaken to it or forget it, but it never departs. This is why a person may be alone in a crowded room and at home in solitude. This is why peace may accompany you on a busy street and elude you in a quiet house until consciousness is recognized as the dwelling place. Lord, Thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations, not our buildings, not our land, not our addresses, our dwelling place. When this is understood, the sense of vulnerability begins to dissolve. You are not stepping out into danger when you leave your home, because you are not leaving home at all. The same presence that governed the stillness here governs your path there. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Let us rest with that promise not as hope, but as fact. Going out and coming in are movements of the body, not of being. Being remains where it has always been within God. And because this is so, the peace of the home becomes portable, not because you carry it, but because you are it. Now, let this truth settle gently. There is no place you must go to be safe, and no place you must avoid to remain protected. There is no environment stronger than consciousness, no circumstance more powerful than awareness of God. Greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. The world here is not streets or cities or people. It is the belief in powers outside of God. As you move through your day, into work, into traffic, into conversation, into decision, you are not leaving the home we have recognized. You are expressing it. The same stillness, the same government, the same invisible thread accompanies you, not as an escort, but as your own being. Let us pause again in this recognition. No effort, no holding, simply knowing I am at home in God and God is at home in me. And therefore, wherever I am, peace is possible not because I enforce it, but because I remember. Now we come to a place where nothing further is required of us, not because we have accomplished something, but because there was never anything to accomplish. We come to rest not as an ending, but as recognition. It is finished. Those words were not spoken at the end of a struggle. They were spoken at the revelation of completion. There is a tendency in the human mind to look for something more, to wait for a sign, a feeling, a shift, or a result. But this belongs to the sense of time, and time has no authority in spiritual realization. Truth does not become true because we feel it. Truth is true because it is. And our peace does not depend upon experience, but upon awareness. Let us then release the impulse to evaluate this moment. Do not ask whether it worked. Do not ask whether anything changed. Those questions arise only when we believe something was lacking before. But all that the Father hath is mine. If all is already given, nothing is pending. This resting is not passivity, it is alignment. When a wheel is aligned with its axis, it moves effortlessly. When consciousness is aligned with God, life unfolds naturally. There is no pushing, no pulling, no forcing. Stand ye still and see the salvation of the Lord. Salvation is not something that happens later. It is something that is seen, recognized when stillness is allowed. In this rest, the home is not being improved. It is being revealed. The harmony that always was is now perceived. The order that never failed is now trusted. And because it is trusted, it appears. Let us remember, the Christ does not enter experience to fix error. The Christ reveals that error has no power. I am the light of the world. Light does not battle darkness. It simply is. And in its presence, darkness has no voice. So now we do nothing. We wait for nothing. We simply remain aware. Aware that the presence we have recognized does not depart when words cease. Aware that consciousness does not lose itself when attention shifts. Aware that I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Let us rest in that promise, not as comfort, but as law. And in this rest, the work is done not because we did it, but because God always has. As we come to the final moments of this meditation, we do not close anything. We do not conclude anything. For in truth, there is no conclusion. There is no end. There is only God, infinite and ever-present. And wherever God is, there is home. Do not think that this awareness must be kept in a special moment or a specific place. Home is not here because we have gathered together. Home is here because we have recognized the truth that God is with us wherever we are. I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. It is not in time or space that we find God, it is in consciousness. So as we prepare to leave this space, let us not think that anything is left behind. There is no part of God that stays here. There is no part of peace that is confined to this moment. God is as present in your every step, in your every word, in your every action, as God is in the stillness we now experience. Lo, I am with you always, always. You may return to the world now, but know that you are not returning to separation. There is no transition from peace to unrest, from stillness to activity, unless we allow it. The transition is not between places, it is within consciousness. And where consciousness rests in God, there is no separation between sacred and everyday. Every step is holy, every breath is sacred. And as you move through the day, do not forget the stillness. It does not disappear. It is still there, waiting to be recognized. I in the midst of thee, mighty. Wherever you go, there it is. Wherever you are, God is. Wherever you are, peace is. Rest now in the quiet assurance that nothing needs to be done, nothing needs to be fixed, nothing needs to be managed. Peace is not something you create, it is something you recognize. And when you recognize it, it governs your every experience. So, as we close, let us not close our awareness. Let us not shut the door to this stillness. Let us leave it open, knowing that we are always in the presence. And when the world calls upon you, when the day demands your attention, you need only pause, if only for a moment, and recognize, I am in the midst of thee, and thou art in the midst of me. This is the home that travels with you. This is the peace that accompanies you. This is the presence that never leaves. You have done nothing but recognize what was already true. There is no end to this. There is no need for a conclusion. Rest now in the awareness that God is with you wherever you go, in every room, in every step, in every breath. And so it is.